Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Puller, as Josh would like to say.
What are we reading?
That's a great question, and we were actually reading a shit ton this week. But this episode, as you guys can tell by clicking on it, is focused on Action Comics 1001. I'm here with Dallas and Josh. Say hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
See, Dallas did it right. Dallas did it right. All right, guys, so following Action Comics 1000, Man of Steel, Superman #1, now we're getting Action Comics 1001, the newest Brian Michael Bendis, the first full issue of Action Comics by Brian Michael Bendis. And this one is, again, following the story of Man of Steel, which is kind of being split between Superman and Action Comics. Action Comics, I think, is going to be focused more on Superman and his superheroics. And Superman, the series, it's going to be focusing more on Superman and I think more of his family dilemmas and things that's going on there. So this one is kind of Superman's trying to figure out who is responsible for the rash of fires that have been plaguing Metropolis. He's trying to get to the bottom of it with, I think, is it Melody Moore? Is that the chief fire?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, she's got that double alliteration, and
Yep.
it's just like Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Lana Lang, all the double alliteration in Superman. And we're introduced to some new characters in this one. He's kind of going on and on about who's starting the fires, and the fires seem to be a little bit more elaborate than first thought. Like, it's an arsonist, but now we'll find out towards the end that there's some new players in town, some people that we've never heard of, so there's some new villains, as well as someone at the Daily Bugle trying to get the gossip on what happened with Lois Lane leaving Clark Kent, things like that. But that's the story in a nutshell. But what I really like about this...
Time out, I want to add the Daily Planet.
What did I say, the Bugle?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, okay. Yeah, it's hard.
We got Spider-Man on the brain.
Noob. Well, I'm really excited to read Amazing Spider-Man 2. But what I like about this is that Bendis, he's got his own Bendis flair in this book, but what I like about it is I'm starting to get the sense what he's trying to do with this book is bring Superman kind of back to his roots and feeling a little bit more lighthearted and jolly, and he's even bringing back some like old school vernacular with Jimmy Olsen being like the kind of like the child's entry point into Superman, like Superman and Jimmy Olsen being like the fanboy, and we're getting kind of like malarkey, shenanigans and that kind of stuff out of him. So I'm seeing that Bendis is taking Superman kind of back to his old school roots and redefining or reestablishing what made Superman so great in the first place. What are you guys' thoughts on this book?
I actually really enjoyed this book, and I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I've actually enjoyed everything so far that Bendis has touched. Action Comics 1000, all the Man of Steels, Superman #1. I actually have really enjoyed everything, and I'm kind of glad to finally get an entry point into Superman and really be enjoying it. There's a lot of iconic imagery. We pointed out there's a few art splash pages and panels that just
we should
scream
point
classic.
out Patrick Gleason is the artist on this one, and I think his artistic style kind of reflects Francis Manapul's in a way.
He also, I notice at times it's not completely consistent. One time it's really heavy, like outline and line, and then in that iconic imagery, it looks more like a painting.
Yeah.
Like there's a panel with Superman flying in front of an American flag, and there's one with him flying up in the air, kind of turned, and they both aren't as heavy outlined as some of the close-up shots, so they look a little different, which is nice.
Yeah. I like that Gleason is actually kind of taking a page out of Frank Quietly's book with making Clark Kent look a little more frumpy and hunched over.
That was another thing. He looks
his
like
Clark
Kent
persona. Yeah. And as Superman, he's got his chest out, he's standing up straight, he's tall and proud. I like that.
The plot interests me. This arson thing has been going on for several issues and mentioned, and they kind of throw some loops in this one. They throw you some curveballs with what's going on, and we're trying to figure out something. There's this nice plot device where they're trying to figure out who is doing this.
Right, because the guy said it's a bald guy.
It's a bald guy. That's all they got.
Yeah.
So all these bald guys, Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Mr. Freeze, Parasite, Luthor. And then there's someone we don't know. We're thinking maybe is an artist or someone on the team.
Yeah.
But there's some characters we haven't got a whole lot of interaction in, and the Daily Planet, they get a little bit of time to shine in dialogue, so you're kind of getting their personalities a little bit. And you find out that people are kind of curious and prodding into where is Lois?
Yeah.
Why is she not here? Which, as we know, where she is and where John is, they're with Jor-El. So it's just cool. He's got this duality to keep secret, and this person's pushing him like, oh, well, she left because of this and this and this, and he's still staying calm and collected, like, I don't have time for this. I'll see you tomorrow.
She's trying to goad it out of him.
Right,
Yeah.
and it stays true to his character, who he is. And they set up some other plot things, like you mentioned, new characters, so it adds this whole new spin to it, broadens this what you think is just arsons into this bigger plot, which is something Superman needs. If it's arsons, it'll be quick.
We found out that the arsons, that, there's a group of people who are together who said that they would do this arson as a distraction for Big Blue.
Only in emergencies. Though.
Right, but none of these people are claiming to be them, so it's kind of got this murder mystery feel to it now.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I'm not saying who or what they are, but you mentioned new characters, and one looks visually really cool.
Yeah.
I am interested
The
by
name
this
of this character is not very original.
No,
but
it isn't, but visually they're really cool, and I'm interested to see them go toe-to-toe with Superman based on what they kind of show here.
Yeah.
So I really actually enjoyed this issue quite a bit. Josh?
Yeah, I think out of all the Bendis Superman stuff, this is probably one of my favorites. It just felt more at Earth, and I mean that like metaphorically, not like literally. I mean it can be both. It can
Sure.
be literally and metaphorically.
I mean, last we looked at Superman #1, Earth is in the Phantom Zone, so
Oh yeah. Spoilers. Like 2 weeks ago. No, it just feels very. It's like they're bringing back Superman his humanity and making him more. Why we like what you said earlier, like why we like Superman. And Bendis does a really great job as for the voice of Superman. He does a good job writing that. I don't really have any problems with it. The artwork is amazing. Its story does kind of. I'm just kind of curious on how it's going to continue going. I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of my favorite ones, but I'm just kind of worried how Bendis is gonna go.
Yeah, this one looks like it can fizzle out. So some of the cons maybe are that Bendis has a tendency to do stuff like this, and of course we know he's the king of retcons. But exactly, where can the story go once this arc plays out?
Exactly.
how does this go even further? But one of the things I did like in the beginning when he's stopping these guys is little things like, also give me the knife because I don't want you being a problem when the cops come to get you. Stuff like that we never actually see Superman do. It's like, take care of the bad guys, take off, cops come get them. But I like that there's that small attention to detail. But then again, also there's a level of goofiness to this. Superman is a little bit more, he's not cracking wise, but he's also not taking this very seriously at the beginning. But at the same time, it's Superman. He doesn't really need to take this seriously. So I guess I can see where some people might have an issue with a little bit of a conflicting tone. But I've also seen other channels out there who are just dogging on Bendis on Superman, and I don't really see the need for it. I don't really see that it's warranted, other than it's just people have a problem with Bendis, so just with his name being attached to it, they're gonna just hate this no matter what, because Bendis. But other than that, I think this is actually a great Superman book. I really liked what Tomasi and Jurgens were doing with it before. But I think this is a good passing of the mantle to Bendis, and I'm enjoying this. The best part about the book is Superman himself.
I agree.
And so, I mean, what more do you want than a good book about Superman?
One thing I would like to add is, if you haven't read any of Man of Steel or Superman #1 or Action Comics 1000, you can actually pick this issue up and I would not be confused. They explain what's going on in the story enough, and even the very first page, it gives you like a 4 blurb, like, this is what's happening. In this storyline, there's this and this, so it catches you up really quickly. So if you're interested in, man, I missed Man of Steel and I missed Superman #1 and Superman 1000, this is still a good jumping on point. You won't be lost because they explain the plot.
To me, this is technically an issue 1.
Feels very
because
like, yes.
issue 1000 was not really, numerically it precedes this, but like the story is not the predecessor. This is really issue 1.
Right.
So I think this would be a great jumping on point for any Superman fans who want to see him do, his Superman thing and not really be about Clark and Lois and Jonathan, but this is about Superman, the man in the tights.
I mean, I enjoy, I've never liked Superman. I've always hated Superman. I thought it was
I've never been a fan of Superman myself.
I always thought it was a lame character. There's no conflict, he has all the powers that he needs, and it's really, just never enjoyed it. But I like Brian Michael Bendis. And so when it came to him doing the Superman, of course I want to read it, just to give it a try. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've not been disappointed with this Superman, and I actually enjoy reading Superman now. So, I mean, if this is what DC was hoping, that it would bring new readers onto like one of their biggest pillars, one of their Trinity members of their, under their umbrella.
This is the Mac
Umbrella-ca?
Daddy of
Umbrella-ca.
This is a Mac Daddy of superheroes.
Yeah,
so,
I
you know.
mean, and you're bringing a new. I mean, I've been reading comic books my whole life, and I've never really cared to ever read a Superman comic, and I'm actually really enjoying both Action Comics and Superman.
Well, with that, Josh, why don't you unveil the rating for this episode and tell us what your rating is?
I will rate this book 3.75 malarkeys.
All right, and I'm very close with you. I'm at 3.5 malarkeys. I enjoyed the book, considerably.
I'm right there with you, Josh. I'm at 3.75 malarkeys.
I will say this book it's a very quick read. It doesn't take you long to flip through this, but again, I think it's worth picking up.
I'm glad that you said that because we were talking about this after I got done reading. You thought I was rereading it. To be honest, I was just going through, just making sure I didn't miss anything. Because I'm like, I went through this book a little faster than what I normally do, and it's really weird. So I was like, maybe I missed something, or so I just would double check.
I think it just flows great.
Yeah. There's a very good natural flow, and I think there's actually some points where Bendis leaves some storytelling elements up to the artist, because there's a moment where he's talking to the police chief. And she's like, "Why should I believe you?" And all there is just a panel of the shield on his chest, and she's like, "Okay," So I like that too. I mean, that's showing, not telling, and I think that's a really good rule to go by. But all right, guys. Well, we hope that you like this analysis of issue 1001 of Action Comics. If you guys are interested in any other issues that came out this week, be sure to check out any other videos on the channel, because we're gonna have a bunch uploaded for this week. And so we hope that you find your way to those, and we appreciate you listening. And we will see you on the next episode you decide to check out. Take care.